Countdown. Hi everyone, good evening, and I hope you're having an amazing time. It is me, your lead commentator, Robert Ionescu, as per usual. Welcome to round two. We've crossed over from Turkey to another Turkic country, Azerbaijan, and we're here in the Azerbaijani capital in Baku, the so-called land of fire, this country. And I am joined today by Joseph Willows. Hello there, Joe.
Hello, indeed. Just come off fresh from the great race that World Champ Car produced over in Austin, but now it's time to see what the Formula 2 guys can do over in Baku.
Yeah, indeed. Hopefully there won't be half the grid crashing out in qualifying. But if you missed what happened last time out in Turkey, Alex Broster took victory, denying Aaron Curtis the win, and as a result took the championship lead as well.
Yep, indeed, and it was just a fantastic performance from Alex Broster, really. And of course, I think the talking point out of that race, Rob, was of course that incredible triple overtake he pulled at the third to last corner.
Yeah, as I've seen Evan say in the Discord, he just dive bombed three people down the middle and got away with it, which is a pretty fair.
It is indeed, and hopefully, well, as Flo says, hopefully we're not in for many crashes during qualifying. Because if anybody didn't see what happened during pre-season testing around this track, let's just say it was very chaotic. I think it was about most of the grid ended up having the spare car ban implemented onto them. So hopefully that's not the case during this 30-minute qualifying session. But you never know.
I took my sweet time to watch day two of preseason testing, and during me it was pretty much chaotic.
Yes, indeed, and we'll soon be getting underway with qualifying as soon as Flo takes down the graphic that's on the screen. Um,
Yep. Last season here, of course, Agatino Bivona took pole position, but he lost out on the race win to Joseph Soto. It's going to be bone dry as expected of this country because the climate is pretty hot and arid. So no chance of rain whatsoever. Let's get this qualifying session underway.
Indeed, so, and of course, usually what's normally typical with Baku is that the loading screen does take a while. Now, I am aware that Flo's computer is a lot quicker than his previous one, but I still think that we're still going to get a pretty long loading screen with Baku, given the textures that need to be loaded around it.
Yeah, indeed. It happens with street circuits, this sort of thing.
Yeah,
Well,
particularly
except
that.
Macau.
Yes, particularly this one because ever since it came into 2016, it has been known for having the very, very long loading screen. So I think
Yeah,
just
indeed.
need to sit tight a bit, but eventually it will load up. So don't worry about that. In fact, you can see how quicker Flo's computer is because it's loaded up a lot quicker than it has done in the past.
Yep, we are green. The session is underway. 30 minutes of qualifying. 5 lap limit for the drivers, though I don't expect many of them will hit it, given the lap length. But we will see who's going to take pole as we wait for the first car to go out onto the track. Who will it be?
It will be fascinating indeed, and of course, we wait to see who's going to be. There is some movement in the pit lane. Not sure which garage that is. I think it might be the VAR garage. Is it Hentos Telenome that we're viewing? Is this the one? Is he the one that's going to move out from the garage? No, it isn't. It's his teammate Santino Andreoli.
He will be the first car to go out on the racetrack. A 6 kilometer track, might I add. And with a one big, fat, long overtaking opportunity down the inside of turn one.
Yep, of course, Baku was the location that first did the first ever race with these sorts of cars in Formula Two, and it was a pretty good race indeed, and hopefully more of the same this season.
Yeah, last season the overcast proved to be key as it helped Joseph Soto get the win. But will that be the same case this season or will things change a little bit? Who knows really. Either way, lots of cars are out on the racetrack and Santino Androli is the first one of them. He's not gonna have any traffic due to the lap length. Nobody will come out of the pits right as he's beginning his lap, I'm sure.
Indeed so, as he makes his way through the double right-hander. There is still a lot of movement in the pit lane as we speak, but as mentioned, because of the length of the track, it's highly unlikely that Andreoli will witness any traffic on his first final lap. I don't know if that will be the same for everybody else, though, because they may end up coming out on track right behind somebody, but we will wait and see, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. And looks like we've got everyone out on track right now.
It doesn't seem too bad, the stuttering flow. It just seems a little bit odd that the stuttering seems to happen whenever you do DTM, but from what I can see with the Formula 2 stream, it looks okay.
Yeah. Nevertheless, Santino Androli is just about getting ready for his first flying lap. This long, flat out section is probably the most famous part of the racetrack other than the castle section. And you gotta keep your foot planted to the floor, not lose a single mile an hour down the run towards turn one. It's a short run, hard, very hard braking zone, notoriously difficult. You have to be spot on, and then quickly on the throttle for this short run down towards turn two. It's exactly the same as turn one, except the braking zone is completely different. You need to set up good traction out of it down the run on the second straight. It's not as long as the main straight, but you can still overtake. We have seen some moves here in the past, though not so many. And Joel needs to be very careful though, because the braking is quite abrupt and there's a wall very very close nearby. But he's gone through okay. Next up is turn 4, which is the first right-hander of the racetrack. And towards the next chicane we go, braking early and going close to the inside wall, clipping the curb there on the second part, and that completes the first sector in real life. But the sector split is a little bit later here. It's 48 seconds for him in the first sector. As he exits turn 7 in towards the castle section we go, nice and early inside line as you go up the hill and throughout turn 12. Now we go on to a flat out section of the racetrack in which Roman Grosjean had some trouble, but other people shouldn't have any trouble through here. And towards the infamous turn 15, where if you know what happened. On the exit there down the hill, last braking zone on the racetrack remains turn 16. You need to get good traction out of it and not go off the track. He doesn't take any curb on exit, does Andreoli. It's a 121.0 in the middle sector, and all that remains is the flat out run to the line. Of course, keep your car's movement as minimal as possible to minimize the drag, and then just bring it home to the line.
Indeed, and what is the lap time going to be? I think Andrew already did have a little bit of a moment going into the castle section as he does a 148.76. So whether there's more time to find for the Frenchman, I am not sure, but we'll see what that's like compared to everybody else.
Yeah.
Across the line he goes, and he goes into second, 5 tenths off. Alexander Arnold across the line, he goes into second. Prazan goes second, a little bit of slipstream there from Arnold. Chobot now goes
fastest.
Andrei Sazonov across the line, he goes in the Univirtuosi, P6 only for him. Wojtek Kulizek goes third, the man who took pole last time out in Istanbul. Zorbak goes into third, got a little bit of help from Crest there, who may have got held up from 1.1 seconds off. Selenom goes fourth, Kirby across the line goes into eighth. Comes Ruslan Proxiute now then in the high-tech Grand Prix car, and he slots into 7th place. What about Bernardo de Oliveira? What can he do?
Let's see, he goes 11th fastest. Samaroskin is up next, and he goes into second. He's definitely wanting to make up for his crash in Turkey. Chapchinat goes 10th, Sturt goes 3rd. Blackwood is up next to cross the line, and where will he go? He goes 6th fastest. Here we have Aaron Kerr, the man second in the championship, goes 17th only, just for Exoto last season's winner. Now he takes 17th. Bavona, the man who lost out last season, is 16th. Tilsley 8th, and Broster goes 13th, the championship leader, in an unlucky P13.
Yep, unlucky for some, and the championship leader currently in that position. But so far, Adam Chobot at the top of the timing screens, of course. Chobot did show some very good pace last time out at Istanbul, and clearly continue it here into Baku. And also Oscar, once again, showing the pace that we saw him do during pre-season testing. So, as you said, Rob, clearly wanted to make amends from the accident he had at Turkey last week.
Yeah, it was a driver error that took him out of the running. I think he wants to move on from it and just refocus.
Indeed so, as all of these guys now will be coming back into the pits. Andreoli has already made his way back into the pits, and normally what usually happens, for anybody who is unfamiliar with this, usually when it comes to the second runs, is whoa, side-by-side action going on there, into the pits, and there's a crash. And that's, I don't think that's going to count, because it's the pit lane.
Arnold and the high-tech.
think that will probably be, if I'm not mistaken, that will probably be Prazan, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, obviously that won't count towards the spare car ban because that is a pit entrance glitch. But yeah, not exactly ideal for those two.
No, Arnold crashed out last season at turn one on lap one. To be fair, it wasn't his fault. Now he's crashed here once again, and let's see if it was just a glitch or if it was someone's fault, clear fault. It looks like it was.
I think it is a glitch, as you can see, because yeah, they're at the pit lane entrance there. So yeah, that's kind of class as a pit lane entrance glitch and not related to the spare car ban. So Arnold and Prazan very lucky there indeed.
Yeah, they won't continue this session, thankfully.
As Chobot actually got a good view of it, and he lost his front wing in the process. But luckily, he was coming into the pits anyway, so it's not going to be too much of a hassle for him.
On the topic of Chobot, he's having another brilliant qualifying session. Of course, he started in the top four, if I'm not mistaken, last time.
Yes, he did qualify quite high, and I think he actually had a very good race in Istanbul, if I'm not mistaken. In fact, he dropped to 7th in the race, but still a good amount of points to start off the season. And yeah, as I said, he's definitely carrying the momentum over into Baku.
Yeah, indeed. He wants to mount a championship challenge like he did in 2020. Of course, in 2021, things didn't go so well for him, but now it looks like he's repurposed himself, found some speed again after moving to a new team, and is ready to fight for the title.
Yep, it wasn't the best of seasons last season. Of course, he spent last season at Van Amersfoort Racing, and it didn't really go the way that he was hoping. But now partnered alongside the man who he did actually challenge for the championship in 2020, it seems that things are going quite well for Trident so far, despite the fact that Curtis is so far down in the 21st position. He's still got a lot of work to do, but still room for improvement.
Don't forget, Curtis was towards the back early in the Turkey qualifying session, but he made his way up throughout the field later on with improvements, so we should be able to see him improve on his position yet again.
Yep, as it looks like Zorbak's getting ready to go back out onto the track. For Zorbak in Istanbul, in fact, Arnold's got out on track before him then. But on the topic of Zorbak, he didn't have the best of qualifyings in Istanbul, but in the race, he was an absolute demon, and he managed to finish in 5th place. A good result for him.
Driver of the day as well.
He did indeed, as Arnold is out on track, and I've just realised as well that it looks like Evan has managed to alter Arnold's helmet a little bit to not get any of the Red Bull sponsorship on there. So a little bit of an extra touch there on Arnold's helmet. So because obviously it's based on Mark Webber's helmet that Arnold has, and he's decided to remove all the Red Bull stickering off it. So nice little touch.
All right then.
As he's just making his way through up into the castle section. There's still a few cars in the pit lane as we speak. Whether Arnold's going to get caught up behind it, we will wait and see.
Yeah, indeed.
Just looking around, of course. Obviously, Sturt just mentioning there in the stream chat that he's hoping it's him being up in third is a start of many things. I mean, he obviously had a very decent race. In fact, for Campos at least, it was a very good opening race for them. Not only did they take victory with Broster, but also they got 8th in that race with James Sturt. And so far, Sturt looking like he's got some very good pace again here in Baku.
Looks like Campos has stepped up from last season.
Yeah, and Dennis even actually pointed out in the Discord chat that he finds it a bit ironic that ever since he left Campos, they've all of a sudden started doing well. So yeah.
That way, Arnold is about to begin his lap. Want to take us through it?
Sure thing, as we ride on board with Arnold now then, as he makes his way towards the first corner. A lot of 90-degree corners around this circuit, and the first sector is mainly comprised of them. He comes out of the first one, luckily no traffic for him there, as now into turn 2 he goes through this 90-degree left-hander. A medium-speed corner, I would argue turn 1's a little bit more quicker than turn 2, but it's still quite a medium-speed corner. Down this back straight now.
Same on paper, but fundamentally different corners.
Through turn 3, obviously a chance you can overtake down into that corner, as we've seen a few times in a couple of series. Through turn 4, another 90-degree right-hander. This was obviously where Nicholas Zorbak has got bad memories from his time in the top class, because that's where he actually slammed it into the wall. Through into the chicane for the left and right-hander now, then he goes, just getting as close to the wall on the outside as possible, up towards the end of the first sector, where he is actually down on his personal best by 3 attempts. Through the double right-hander we go, and now making our way towards the narrow castle section now. Then we've only really had one crash at this part of the track throughout the history of the OC. That came courtesy of Rick Yan back in 2017 in the top class. Coming out of that castle section now, then heading towards the double left-hander, flat out corners now then. However, the car can easily twitch through into there due to the bumps, and you could maybe end it in the wall as a result. This is a very tricky corner to get right, this 90-degree left-hander, because you could easily slam it into the wall on the exit, as Arnold now then 6 attempts down off his personal best in the middle sector, through the last braking point on the track, and now it's just flat out all the way to the line. Flat through the right-hander, and then flat through this left-right chicane, I would guess it is. Not really a chicane, but it's kind of got a similar profile to one. And now down this long straight, the longest pit straight, and probably the longest straight that we have on the calendar now, and then longer than the back straight in South Korea, and longer than the back straight that's at Abu Dhabi. Here comes Alexander Arnold across the line. He will go, and he does not improve, and he stays in 12th position as De Oliveira's just started a lap behind him.
Zorbach is finishing a lap and he appears to be an improvement. Keep in mind he's currently in 5th place, so if he can improve by 2/10, he will go fastest.
Let's see now then, as Zorbach crosses the line, can he get anywhere near Chobot's time? He can, he goes to the top by 3/10 of a second, a 148.219.
It's a massive improvement, 5.5 tenths, as Prazan also improves to go up to the second. Good job. Kaitserezny is next to cross the line. Bevona stay in the pits, meanwhile, something to note. Kulisec, last race's pole position, sorry, not last season's. Last race's pole sitter doesn't improve. Tobias Kress improves to go up to 18th only. Andrei Sadanov, who graced the podium on his debut, doesn't improve. Joe Chinet does not improve either.
Curtis improves but stays in last position, not even the slipstream of his teammate. Halcyon goes 7th. Andrioli stays in 6th place, so 6th and 7th for the two Van Amersfoort racing cars. Kirby's on an improvement though. He's currently, where is he at the moment? He's currently in 15th position. Yeah. Kirby across the line, and he goes up to 6th. A big improvement there for the Brazilian.
Yeah, James Sturt is up next. He's dropped down to 5th and will stay there because he's not improving. No, he doesn't.
Suto is up on his personal best, though. Meanwhile, let's see what Suto can do. He's currently on the back of the grid, and he goes up into 10th.
Gets himself to the top 10 last year's winner, as now Jafari Blackwood doesn't improve. And I can say last year because it happened in 2022, the 2021 race. Oscar improves to go third, meanwhile.
Indeed, De Oliveira's up on his personal best. He might get a little bit of a taste of slipstream from the Charouz that's in front of him. That, of course, being Alexander Arnold. As De Oliveira now then comes across the line, and I think he actually had to back off there. I thought for a minute he did, but I wanted to be sure, and as a result, he doesn't improve. Tilsley, meanwhile, is up on his personal best.
Yeah, this run is not done, and Jake Tilsley wants to remind us of that. And he's currently in P11, so if he can get himself into the top 10, that would be a very welcome improvement. Let's see, as the Briton is about to cross the line.
And he goes 11th. He just misses out on the top 10. Broster goes up to 14th.
He was.
And I think that these are the runs done with Zorbach currently at the top of the timing screens.
When's the last time he's taken pole in GP2?
I will quickly double check that.
Alrighty then. As he's being wheeled back into the garage.
Let's just quickly have a check. I'm on Zorbach's Wikipedia now. The last time he took pole in the feeder series was actually back in 2018 when he was at Campos. So
right.
It has been a while since.
At what track?
Specifically, it was at Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium.
Oh, right.
So, yeah, it's been a while since Zorbach has taken a pole, not just in the feeder series, but also in any series that the OC has to offer, really, because he didn't take a pole in World Champ Car last season.
No. And he'll be hoping he can remain fastest, but there are some other people improving who could beat him to it, of course.
Indeed, as Broster just making his way around the left-hander, and he'll, as mentioned, soon be coming back into the pits. 14th at the moment for the championship leader, but as you see many times, the race can usually throw up a few surprises, and it might be a case that Broster may be having better race pace for this week. You never know, of course.
Yeah, and this session is still nowhere near done. We've passed the halfway mark just about 12 seconds ago, but yeah, there's still plenty of things that can happen in this session. And Broster, he could be starting a lot further higher up than 14 for all we know.
Yep, indeed, as he'll be now coming into the pits this time by. Luckily, this time by, there hasn't been a pit lane entry crash like we saw earlier on with both Prazan and I think it was Arnold that the other one was.
Yeah.
So, luckily, that hasn't happened this time by. But yeah, so far, Zorbak currently at the top, but Curtis struggling down in last position, despite the fact that he got a tow from his teammate and was improving. I think I just saw somebody coming out of their garage there. I'm not sure who that was.
Well, I'm expecting it to be Bavona because he stayed in the pits on the previous run, so let me see if I'm right. It is right, he is out on the racetrack.
So Bavona is now out on track as a high tech is also going to be joining him. In fact, there's been a few other cars that have also joined Bavona since then. In fact, he's far away up the track. It was actually somebody else that came out of the pit. So yeah, and I've also noticed he's also had his sponsors removed. So it looks like Evan's done more than just Arnold's helmet to get rid of a few sponsors. Apart from the fact that he's left the Renault sponsor that was on the helmet when Fisichella and Alonso were around. That's I think it was a networking company. I think it's called.
Right.
I think that I don't know if I actually still exist nowadays, if I'm being totally honest. But there we are. Anyway, but Bavona, he's going to be starting a lap soon. But I wonder if he's going to catch up to any traffic on this run because so far he's down in 18th. Is the Italian.
Sometimes they're coming out of the pit lane, but I think it's gonna be a tight one.
Yep. As he just makes his way out the final couple of corners, as he'll be starting his lap very soon. There is still movement in the pit lane, and of course, one driver usually gets left behind on this run. And obviously,
Of
it was
course, Bavona
Bavona.
took pole here last season. Let's see what he can do this time.
Yep, obviously was challenging for the victory last season was Bavona, but obviously just missed out thanks to the superior strategy call that was made by Charus and of course Jose Federic Suter, which allowed him to take the victory last season. And Bavona looks like he's going to get a clean lap.
Yeah, he's got no traffic. There is someone a few seconds up the road, you can see right there, but he won't be impeding Bavona, not by a long shot.
No, definitely not, as he now makes his way down the back straight now then before making his way
He has
towards
no
turn.
excuse if he doesn't improve on this lap.
It'll all be on him if he's not able to improve, especially if he makes a mistake at some point on the lap.
Yeah, indeed. Dorbak has also started a lap. Looks like he's got a little bit of toe.
Let's see what Bavona's first sector is going to look like then compared to his personal best. Just keeping an eye on the top right of your screen, specifically on the def panel, and he's actually
He's down.
he's down by 3/10 of a second. So this is not looking like an improvement for the Italian here.
No, definitely not.
He gets his way out of the castle section now, then through the right and left-hander he will go now then. As he'll try and see if he can find a miracle in the last two sectors, but I highly doubt it.
Yeah, it's looking unlikely. We're gonna have to take a look at the other tests. Just a note, it's the Oliveira who got left in the pits this time around.
Yep, and he's down in 20th at the moment, and still plenty of time for him to improve on that, but not really ideal that he's decided to stay in the garage on this occasion. But anyway, Bavona now...
Previous seasons, getting left behind wasn't a big deal because you will get that fourth run later on in the session. But now that the limit has been increased to 5 runs last season, it is pretty bad because you're being denied a run by the team, and it means you wouldn't hit 5 runs, which obviously you want to do. You want to have as many runs as possible as Bavona doesn't improve.
Arnold, meanwhile, he's also not on an improvement, and he's currently down in 15th place at the moment, is the German. Let's see what he can do on this lap anyway. Across the line, here he goes, and he's 1/10 off his personal best in the end. Keoshane starting a lap as Zorbak doesn't improve. Maybe he did get held up a bit as his teammate Tilsley is about to start a lap, as Chobot also not up on his personal best, not able to respond to Zorbak at the moment.
Another top 5 qualifying session for Chobot, but he did not improve. He'll remain 4th. Agiprazan is up next.
Yep, and the Indonesian drivers...
Is that an engine failure?
It is, and that's going to be the spare car ban because he's not got a pit indicator unless he can make it back to the pits. And Kulazak has got a smoky engine coming out the back of that. So unless he can get it back to the pits, that might be a session done with.
He's got a pit indicator now, but I don't think he's going to make it. And that means he will not take 2 poles in a row.
And he's pulled off, and that is the session over for him. And clearly, the engine decided to die on him just on the exit of turn 1. And Sazonov actually sets the same time as Arnold, as Proxiuk, his fellow compatriot, goes up into 12th.
Ernest improves yet again, but stays in last.
So a few improvements coming just as we view Wojtek Kulizek. Their crest improves but remains in 19th position. And but for Kulizek, that's his session done with, and it looks like he's going to be starting at very best 13th on the grid.
Lucky there. As Suto improves to
Oh,
go fastest.
and Suto, the man who won here last season, has just gone to the top of the timing screens with a 1 minute 48.095. A pretty good time there for the Slovakian driver as we now implement the spare car ban on Kulizek's car.
Suto sure likes this track, doesn't he?
Oh, indeed, and well, that's a session done with for the Czech driver now. Then, as Flo will now implement the spare car ban, which he has done. Broster improves but remains in 14th. But as said, Suto is now at the top of the timing screens.
Rosser improves to go 14th as Tilsley is getting towed along onto the main straight, but he's not improving on his lap.
Up, he tried to go for a move around the outside of Keoshani going through the chicane there, but it didn't work out, and I think it's impeded the pair of them as a result. Tilsley and Keoshani don't improve.
He missed out on improving by 1/10 of a second though, so it was close.
Yep, indeed, as we tried to see where the current pole man is at the moment, because he went to the top of the screens just as while we were looking at Kulizek's broken down car. So there he is, and well, that was a lap that definitely came out of nowhere, really.
Yeah, indeed, we're all focused on the engine failure, and he just stole the show right from underneath our noses.
But there's still over 8 minutes to go, so his time could easily still get beaten. Could anybody perhaps maybe break into the 1 minute 47s, I wonder?
Well, it would only take a little improvement, but this track is very difficult to drive. So getting that improvement could be easier said than done.
Perhaps indeed, but we will wait and see, of course, as the session progresses. We now just have under 8 minutes to go in this qualifying session to determine the grid for the Formula 2 race here in Baku tomorrow.
Yeah, indeed.
As he will now come into the pits. I think there's still a couple of cars behind him that need to come in, but that's pretty much that, as he's now made his way into the pit lane now then. And yep, he will be getting ready to see, potentially, unless he gets left behind, to do another lap. We are expecting, of course, who was the one that got left behind that time by, to do a lap soon. Yeah, him to do a lap very soon. As Tilsley's now coming back into the pits along with Keoshani. In fact, there is somebody who's now out on track. You can just see they've just approached turn 3, and it is De Oliveira.
Right, as expected.
Currently on the back row of the grid, his teammate Kirby up in 7th place, so not really ideal for De Oliveira. He'll want to be close to Kirby as best as possible.
Yeah, meanwhile, the Aston Martin has been revealed, so there's that.
Yep, I'll obviously look at that later, so don't spoil it. Obviously, you can talk amongst yourselves in the stream chat, but I'll try my best not to read it as much as possible. So I don't
if I spoil the color, it should be obvious.
Oh, it's probably the same colour as De Oliveira's helmet we're looking at here, along with his race suit and the car he's driving.
Right, yeah. The same old British racing green. I'm not going to give any other.
Yeah. And well, probably expected that tomorrow's livery for the Ferrari is expected to be red. But anyway,
they went for white and blue once. They could go for it again. Who knows?
I think that was more in protest, wasn't it? That livery, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, De
yeah,
Oliveira,
57, I think it was, or something like that.
Anyway, back to the action as De Oliveira is about to start his next flying lap.
Yep.
He has maybe got some traffic to deal with because there's still a load of cars making their way out of pit lane. So we'll see if that's going to affect De Oliveira as he's just started his lap, I believe.
Yeah, indeed.
As Oliveira now makes his way out onto the track now then. And, well, he's actually just made sure that he's not going to get held up. So no worries there for Bernardo De Oliveira.
Nope, it's all up to him to improve on this lap, and he definitely needs to, unless he wants to start in the back row. I do not think he'll have a time for a lap after this, given the track length.
Yep, indeed, and I did actually notice there what seemed like, I don't know if Flo picked it up, I don't know if that was meant to happen or not on GP4, but it did look like that one of the Camposes had their nose sticking out of a garage. I'm not sure if they were waiting for cars to go down the pit lane or not, but that's what I noticed. But anyway, De Oliveira is up on his personal bed. nearly 2/10 of a
Yeah,
second, in fact. So definitely looking like he could be on an improvement unless he makes a mistake at some point.
yeah, but we have to see what his pace is like in the middle sector to try to predict where he'll end up.
He now comes up down towards the double flat out left-handers now then as he goes around the first one, then into the second one now then, and down towards the 90-degree left-hander he goes. Let's see if he's still up on his personal best in the middle sector now then. Approaching the middle sector he goes, and yep, he is by
I'm at
3/10 of a
3/10.
second. So
So I
I think,
expect him to go roughly about 13th or 14th.
yep, and I think it was because that Campos was waiting for cars to go by. It wasn't anything odd. But anyway, De Oliveira now then comes down the pit straight, and let's see if he can get his ART Grand Prix car to the top 10 like his teammate Kirby. Anyway, De Oliveira across the line, he will go now then, and he goes 14th actually. So
14th,
he's actually still outside the top 10, but
like I
still an improvement.
predicted.
Bivona, meanwhile, is up on his personal best. He kind of needs to, really, because he's on the back row of the grid at this point.
Yep. And can he make it two Baku poles in a row? It's looking unlikely, but he is up on his personal best by a tenth and a half, so he could get himself maybe into P16 or something along those lines.
But I don't think we're looking at a top 10 performance here for the Italian at this point, unless he somehow performs a miracle in this last sector. But anyway, Bavona now then heads down the pit straight now then, and Bavona is now going to cross the line. Can he improve on his time? Across the line he will go, and he does, and he goes into 16th.
16th,
So
as
you're
predicted.
roughly correct there. Prazan, meanwhile, he's not on an improvement.
No, he is not, and this will probably be his last lap. It definitely will be, because just to get back into the pits, it would take him 1 minute 50 seconds, and he would be out of time. So he doesn't improve. That'll be his session done. Same for Teresny.
Andreoli doesn't improve either. He stays in 8th position as Chobart looks like he's not on an improvement either, and he's going to remain in P5. Arnold getting some slipstream from the Univirtuosi, but it looks like he's been held up and he stays in 17th.
Yeah, Sunome is not on an improvement either as things stand.
But it looks like so far he's going to be behind his teammate Andreoli on the grid, and he stays in 9th for the time being. Zorbat doesn't improve. He's not able to beat Suto to the top of the timing screen. Speaking of which, it looks like Suto's not on an improvement, and no, he's not. Oscar improves, though. He goes up into the 3rd.
Gress is up next. Where can he go? He goes 20th. Sazonov is next, and Sazonov goes 4th. Good improvement from him.
Osik is also on an improvement across the line. He goes only 12th, though. Curtis, that's much better. He's up into 9th.
36th, meanwhile.
Yep, so a lot of improvements coming thick and fast on this lap now. Then Kirby doesn't improve. Broster does. That's much better for him. The championship leader goes 6th.
And this should be the session over. It is. Well, we're still waiting for Blackwood, sorry.
Blackwood's still on the lap, as we can see, as he now makes his way towards the final couple of corners, but he is down on his personal best, so unless he performs some kind of miracle in the last sector, I think he's going to remain in 13th. And in fact, oddly enough, he's actually on the same time as Ruslan Protsiuk, so that's obviously something to bear in mind when we read the results later.
Oh yes, because Protsiuk just improved.
Yep, so that's obviously something to bear in mind when we read the results later.
He doesn't improve narrowly though, and that is everybody done except for Joe Chinet.
He's 2.1 seconds down, so I wonder if Keoshani's made a mistake somewhere to be that far off the pace.
Right, let's have a look.
Actual fact, it was because he actually got overtaken by Alexander Arnold.
Right, Arnold was coming into the pit, so that was completely unnecessary.
Yep, I don't know why Arnold thought the need to try and overtake Keoshani there, because Arnold was not on a lap and Keoshani was, and I don't think Von Chanak is going to be particularly happy with the German there.
No, definitely not, but he didn't have the pace on this lap anyway.
Yep, and I think
is
this
that
time,
everything done? Yes.
So I think as a result, it means that Joseph Frederick Suto is on pole for tomorrow's race here in Baku.
His case for 2 Baku wins in a row is looking better and better. If he can win tomorrow, we'll have to wait and see. But here's the grid then for tomorrow's Azerbaijan Grand Prix. It's just Frederick Suto top, with Nicholas Zorbak second. Samet Oskan is in third. Andrei Sazonov, the man third in the championship, doing quite well with P4. Agi Prazan is fifth with Alex Broster sixth. James third and seventh, followed by Adam Chobo. Then it is Jean-Pierre Courby in ninth. Aaron Curtis in 10th, and Santino Androli completing the first half of the pack in P11.
Kento Sononomi's teammate will start in 12th with Ruslan Propsyuk in 13th, and it is Jafari Blackwood in 14th.
Baku is ahead.
Oh yes, of course. Sorry, Blackwood is 13th with Protsuk in 14th. Of course, it seems that it's gone in garage order on this occasion. Jake Tilsley is in 15th with Wojtek Kulizek 16th. Bernardo de Oliveira down in 17th. Agatina Bavarono disappointing in 18th with Alexander Arnold 19th. Fonchanek Kirishani 20th. Tobias Kress down in 21st, and Kai Sereznia, the 2021 DTM champion, is in 22nd and last.
Yep, indeed, that's right. Thank you, Joe. And yeah, that's been it from ourselves today. It's gone by rather quickly this session, but I enjoyed it. Thank you very much for tuning in, guys. I will not be here tomorrow because I'll be out at the movies. So I'm hoping for a fun time myself, but I should be able to watch at least part of the race. I just won't be able to commentate. So yeah, thank you very much, guys, for tuning in today. We will see you again tomorrow. Not me personally, but we, the GP4 OC channel. And yeah, thank you very much, guys, and enjoy the rest of your days, and goodbye.
See ya.